Well, new questions about President Obama's response to the terror attack in Libya after a senior member of both the Obama administration and the campaign seemed to suggest that the buck stops not at the president's desk, but over at the State Department. That led to a few political writers asking whether this is, quote, Secretary Clinton being thrown under the Benghazi bus. Listen to David Axelrod, senior advisor to the Obama campaign, in a testy exchange with our own Chris Wallace of Fox News Sunday.
Well, let me ask you directly. Does the president take personal responsibility for the fact that repeated requests for more security were made and were rejected, and that may have contributed to the death of those 4 Americans? Does he take personal responsibility for that?
Chris, at the top line level, the President of the United States is responsible for everything that happens under his on his watch. These were judgments that were made by the security folks at the State Department, and of course we're going to review that whole process and see how those decisions are made, why those decisions were made, and how we adjust in the future to make sure that we're giving our diplomats the maximum protection we can.
Joining me now, Doug Schoen, former advisor to President Bill Clinton, and Pat Caddell, former pollster for President Jimmy Carter. Both are Fox News contributors and both co-host Campaign Insiders on the Fox News channel on Sunday evenings, 5:30? 5:30 p.m. So what is really going on here? This got started with Vice President Joe Biden's comments at the debate saying, but we didn't know that the folks in Libya were requesting more security, and it's spiraled from there. What's really happening here, Doug?
We've got 25 days to go till the election. The Obama administration is trying to foist off blame and responsibility, whether it be now the State Department, before it was the intelligence community. They're using what I call the Sergeant Schultz defense. I know nothing. And that's what they're trying to do. Vice President Biden said we didn't know. They've spun that into the White House, not the administration. And bottom line, they're trying to get through the next 3 weeks.
In the mind of the voter, does it make any difference whether Hillary Clinton knew and Barack Obama didn't, or is it just the administration knew and didn't get the guys the resources?
We're not even that far along, because look, they're throwing everyone under the bus. There's a larger question about leadership here and about presidential leadership. You know, John Kennedy, when he took responsibility for the Bay of Pigs, Jimmy Carter on the hostage failure raid, people responded positively to that. This president seems to blame everyone. Here's the problem. But you're leading to something else, which is the false narrative that we've discussed before and Fox has covered. Susan Rice went out there on that Sunday on those 5 shows, including Fox, not Hillary Clinton. There's something going on there, and if the press were doing its job, which it's not, they would be all over Hillary Clinton and they would be all over Susan Rice.
Well, Brit Hume was on Fox earlier today and obviously covered the White House for ABC News for decades and said the way it works with Sunday talk shows is the White House decides who's going out. The White House talks to the person who's going out.
That's a political decision.
Megyn, I was sent out, I suspect Pat was as well, by the White House at individual times to deliver very specific messages. Not my talking points, their talking points. The bottom line, Susan Rice was doing, as UN ambassador, what she was told to do.
And I just want to stop you on that point, because just so our viewers understand, UN ambassador works for the State Department. That's the department she's in, the State Department. But wait, but the State Department has just testified that they did not believe this was anything other than a terrorist attack. They watched it unfold in real time. So their person, Ambassador Susan Rice, goes out there and delivers a message that is not coming from the State Department. And now we're hearing that it would be the White House that would give the talking points to the ambassador.
The question I would like to have asked, and I'd like to hear the president on it, Ryan should have asked, Biden, were you in the room? Who made this decision? Pluff? Donlin,
who told her to say that it was not that it was about a protest over a video.
And the other problem that Biden has created for them on the fact that we didn't know about the security
that they wanted more security and didn't get it.
The answer they keep saying on intelligence, which is, oh no, it was confused. Well, you know, Romney, if he's smart, is going to raise the point that should have been raised long ago. Well, if that is the case, why wasn't the president, why weren't you, Mr. President, in the Oval Office, getting to the bottom of this, instead of getting on not having your national security break and going to Las Vegas for a fundraiser?
Here's the confusing part to a lot of American people, I believe.
That bothers people.
They have come out repeatedly and said that Romney, shot first and aimed later, because he came out, his first instinct was to criticize that statement by the U.S. Embassy in Cairo, over in Cairo.
He did.
For being upset about hurting the feelings of Muslims. That was something that the Obama White House actually later criticized as well. But anyway, so they say he shoots first and aims later.
Right.
But that Sunday after the attacks, they sent Susan Rice onto the talk shows to say this is what really happened. And now even they admit what she said was totally wrong, completely wrong.
Correct.
It had nothing to do with the protest. There wasn't even a protest going on. So how can they politically, how can they still be making the charge about shooting first and aiming later when they didn't have to offer any explanation? They could have said, under investigation, American people, give us time, we'll get to it.
That is where they're going now. Because they were caught with misstatements, Megyn, the answer now from the Secretary of State, the White House, David Axelrod, is we're studying, we're investigating, the FBI is looking at it, and we want to make sure this doesn't happen again. That translate into 25 days, get through, get to the election.
And let me say this. If the Republicans in Romney are so stupid to let them get away with this, because this is their answer for everything. We're investigating the leaks after the election, the crippled national security, according to Dianne Feinstein, put people's lives in danger. We're investigating everything except telling the American people the truth. And the real problem is, what did the president know? When did he know it? And right now, that question is important. And who came up with this false narrative? And by the way,
and what was it based on? But I want to ask you this, as a former Clinton guy,
Yep.
you know, Hillary Clinton is no shrinking violet.
Right.
And there's a reason she was not on that Sunday talk
Right.
show. Now that she's been, you know, maybe thrown under the bus, you tell me, was she, and is she likely to sit there for the next 25 days?
I read her most recent statement, and her most recent statement is we've got to find out what happened, we've got to investigate, and we've got to determine what happened and why. Basically, she is doing the best she can to distance herself in the waning days of a campaign from something that, as Pat was indicating, has the potential to bring down the president.
And the question for her is, if somebody gets to her and asks her the right questions, which are, were you asked to be on those shows? Would you have said that? You were told, you're saying...
Well, can Barack Obama be asked? The next debate is foreign policy. It's next Monday in Boca Raton, Florida.
Yeah.
Can he be asked by Bob Schieffer at that debate, who in the White House, if anyone, told Susan Rice to go out and say that this was about a video?
Yes, and who was in the room? And they should. Look, the answer is there's always an excuse. Ben Franklin said, you know, the line was, people who do nothing but blame other people, it's the only thing they're really good at. This administration, a president about leadership, that's the problem. He can be asked about this. This isn't going away. It's the only thing that's helping them is that most of the mainstream press, the New York Times this morning, 5 shows discussed Libya. It's not on the front page. The mainstream media is doing everything it can to save Obama.
One point before we go,
Sure.
and that is on that point of accepting responsibility. The president took heat for taking too much responsibility for the bin Laden kill.
Right.
And this veterans group put together this ad that was very critical, talking about the number of times he said "I," and they put, here's just a clip to refresh your memory here.
I said that I'd go after bin Laden if we had a clear shot at him. And I did. And I did. And I did. And I did.
Is the White House now setting itself up for a narrative that he's too quick to take the credit, but
Yes.
not to take the blame?
Megyn, he is set up for that, but Pat is correct. The Republicans have not seized the opportunity.
But if they do anything like that, they're just going to be accused of politicizing the situation, as they already are.
Well, but they're going to be... Look, Axelrod's already going to use that anyway. That's their excuse. The answer is the press should be doing this. They should be challenging the press, and they're not.
The press more and more is asking
They're
questions
asking
about
more and
Libya.
more, but not right now. The press is in overdrive, writing Obama won the debate for tomorrow night. If you can't read what's going on right now, that's what
Obama
they're doing.
believes run out the clock, delay, obfuscate,
will protect
and
you.
hope that the questions we've just been discussing don't get asked.
If the press does its job, he could be finished with the story.
Thank you both so much
Thank
for
you.
being here. Always interesting getting your take. All right, up next, a gym teacher who weighs more than 200 pounds.